Coming up on NFL Live, the Patriots aren't playing on Super Sunday, but there is good news regarding quarterback Tom Brady. We'll let you know. Peyton Manning is playing in the Super Bowl. He's at the peak of his physical powers, but what really separates him from everyone else in football? And Tim Tebow hopes to one day play quarterback in the NFL. How is that process going? NFL Live has it all right now. NFL Live begins with good news for the New England Patriots. Despite playing most of this season with injuries to his fingers and his ribs, quarterback Tom Brady says he will not need any offseason surgery. This, of course, a stark contrast to last offseason when Brady was dealing with reconstructive knee surgery. And with that, we welcome you into NFL Live, and so glad you are here with us. Trey Wingo. Darren Woodson is here, ladies and gentlemen. It must be a big day. And Tim Hasselbeck is also here.
Well, I got a little love for you.
He's got 3 of these Super Bowl rings. He doesn't even know which one it is. So how depressing is that for people that didn't get there? All right, so guys, this is good news for the New England Patriots. Tim, they don't have to worry about Tom Brady. They think he's going to be fine. So with that being in mind, Darren, let's start with you here. What is the number one offseason priority for the Patriots right now?
I think I don't know if they have so much to change right now. I think they have to let their young guys grow. And when you look at the Patriots, they are young on the defensive side of the ball. When you lose a guy like Teddy Bruschi, who's a good friend of ours.
Yes, he is.
Mike Vrabel, guys like that in the linebacker crew, and then bring in some young guys. I just think they need to replenish it a little bit. Give these guys some time. Not replenish this defense, but give these guys time to grow in this defense. I think Bill Belichick will get these guys back on the right path.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think you're right focusing on the defensive side of the ball, because you look at them on the offensive side of the ball, they're still a good football team. And I really believe even if Wes Welker isn't back from the ACL injury by the start of training camp or the start of the season, I think a guy like Julian Edelman can be a player that if he was going to play 16 games in that offense, I think you could easily expect him to have 85 catches throughout that season. So I don't think that's really an area of concern either. I really believe, and you mentioned it, guys like Ron Brace, Guyton, Will Height, young players on that defense that need to step up, that haven't been in those big moments. Right. And it was sort of exposed when you look at that Baltimore Ravens game.
Well, you just can't lose Bruschi, Vrabel, Seymour, Harrison in one offseason and expect to do the same thing. Tom Brady, by the way, this past season, second most passing yards of his career, and also his 15 more touchdown passes than picks, second best differential in his career. Of course, 2007, he had 42 more touchdown passes than interceptions, but that year was crazy. In fact, Brady actually threw for more yards than Peyton Manning in their Week 10 showdown with the Colts, but in the end, the Colts won that game and are still playing. And lest you live under some delusional reality, there's really only one reason why that is: Peyton Manning. His skill and talent are undeniable, the only 4-time MVP in NFL history. But as Bob Holtzman reports, what truly separates him right now is the work ethic that goes along with that natural ability.
It may have been wide receivers Reggie Wayne and Pierre Garçon wearing the hard hats after Sunday's game, but it's Peyton Manning who sets the Colts' blue-collar tone. Even after 12 seasons, and even though he's well on his way to holding every quarterbacking record there is, Manning's teammates say he's never worked harder, never watched more film, and never been better.
He seems to get better all the time when in situations you think that he may level out, but he never does. He never gets complacent, never gets content with his status, and just continues to improve and get better. And every year it seems like he takes it to another plateau.
There's been a lot of times this season where you just kind of got to look and shake your head, because he just continues to do things. The thing about him is, it happens all the time.
To be honest with you, this is all I know, having him at the quarterback. So I think we do take it for granted sometimes how good he is. That's a good problem, I guess, to have.
The Colts threw the ball more often this season than during any season in Manning's career. And Manning is averaging more than 40 passes per game in the playoffs, which could continue in the Super Bowl against the Saints' 26th ranked pass defense. In Indianapolis, Bob Holtzman, ESPN.
Bob braving the elements. Thank you, Bob. Peyton Manning is certainly performing at a much higher level than he was the last time the Colts were getting ready for Super Sunday, also in Miami, by the way. In the 2006 playoffs, Manning threw for 2 touchdowns, had 6 picks in the 3 games, because remember, they played in the wild card round leading up to Super Bowl 41. That year, again, they started in that wild card round against the Chiefs before beating the Ravens on the road and then hosting the Patriots. And as you can see, the numbers in the 2009 postseason are just ridiculous. And Tim, as one of our resident quarterbacks here, in your opinion, what makes Peyton so good and what made him so unstoppable Sunday? After the first 2 drives of that Jets game, they had to punt those 2 drives, and they didn't get touchdowns.
He does such a great job at the line of scrimmage of seeing. Here we're going to look at a 3rd and 3 to keep the drive alive. Again, because a lot of study, he sees the blitz coming from the top of the screen. He also finds the best matchup down low. You have double bump press, and what you're going to do is going to run a combination down the bottom of the screen to get Austin Collie against a weaker defender in Drew Coleman. He's not going to throw the ball to Reggie Wayne on Revis, and because of the route, the little rub, he's able to put a back shoulder throw to Austin Collie. They convert the first down. Then down on the goal line, again, he sees pressure. He finds the best matchup. Now it's not at the bottom of the screen, it's at the top of the screen. Garcon versus Lowry. He's able to throw the fade, which he does
throw, by the
as
way.
well as anybody in the National Football League. He does such a great job of being prepared. And people can say they try to confuse him before the snap, but this isn't a pop quiz for Peyton Manning. He studies for the test, and a lot of times he has the answer because he knows what's coming.
Well, he said after the AFC title game, he actually went back and looked at a 2005 game he played against the Baltimore Ravens to sort of figure out what they might throw at him. All right, so that's the good thing that Peyton Manning can do. Here's the bad news for the Saints. They got to try and slow him down and contain him. Listen, in your career, you were a Pro Bowler. We can see the rings, my friend. You were an all-pro safety. If you're doing that, how do you game plan to try and stop him from doing what he's doing?
You know, if you're defensive coordinator Greg Williams with the New Orleans Saints right now,
you're nauseous.
You're nauseous. You flipped on that film this week and said, man, how do you stop this guy? Well, I don't think anyone has the answer to stop Peyton Manning. I think the one thing you can do is hope that you can keep him off the field and limit his opportunities. But then after that, if you're a defensive football player, if you're Darren Sharper, if you're Porter on the outside, what you want to do is tackle guys after their catch. If you can't give up the big play down the field, make Peyton Manning earn it every play down the field. Don't give up the big play to Garcon or Reggie Wayne. Make him earn it with Dallas Clark and underneath things, and hope that he can't find a window in the fourth quarter, in the fourth quarter in the end zone.
Well, that's the interesting thing, because the Jets really, they made a living off not giving up the big plays. In the game against the Ravens, they didn't have a single 20-plus play. They had 4 of them, I think, in the first half already, and by that point, you knew it was just going. Now, he's at the peak of his powers right now, but you do have to have a team around you to win a Super Bowl, and there is some concern there about one of his teammates. Let's bring in ESPN.com senior NFL writer John Clayton. John, Dwight, the great rush end for the Colts, the defensive end late in that game, appeared to tweak his ankle. How much of a concern is that injury right now? Granted, we're still 12 days away, but how concerned are the Colts right now?
It's the biggest concern of Super Bowl week and Super Bowl pre-week, because this is a bad ankle injury. It's not a high ankle sprain, but it's not your normal variety ankle sprain. And this is going to be one most players, if they doubtful for 2 weeks. But you can't doubt Dwight Freeney because he's a fast healer, and a couple things that he uses. He uses a hyperbaric chamber. He also has the ability to use something called an ARP, which helps speed up the recovery. I think he has to play. If he had to play this weekend, though, I don't think he'd make it. The extra week will help him, but believe me, this is a serious ankle injury.
Something certainly to keep our eyes on as we get set to head to Miami. All right, John, thanks very much. Week at the Senior Bowl coming up, and Michael Vick trademark it this offseason.
Top sports writers pretend to know the world of American sports. Tony Reale attempts to keep them in check.
Whose dominance is more impressive? Carl Edwards on the track, me on this show. Mute.
Keyword, attempts. Around the Horn. Weeknights on ESPN America.
Starting my path and my dream to playing in the NFL and being an NFL quarterback.
One thing you do know is number 15 is locked in.
Tim Tebow will and should get
that, a new chapter, a new challenge in my life.
You don't have to know a lot about football to know who Tebow is. He won a pair of national championships at Florida, Heisman Trophy in 2000. He's also had more rushing touchdowns and more total touchdowns than anyone in SEC history, and that's a pretty good history. Mel Kiper Jr. rates him as the 4th best quarterback in this year's draft, behind Notre Dame's Jimmy Clausen, Sam Bradford of Oklahoma, and Colt McCoy from the University of Texas. But what to expect out of Tebow at the next level? So for more on that, let us welcome in Todd McShay, Director of Scouting for ESPN Scouts, Inc., from the mobile studios in, of all places, Mobile, Alabama, side of the Senior Bowl this week where Tim Tebow is. Todd, I know he's been dealing with strep throat, and there were some snap issues on his first practice. How would you say his week's been going so far?
Well, through 2 practices and a weigh-in, basically, I would say overall it's been a disappointment, but there have been some positive things. I mean, first of all, at the weigh-in, he's taken off a little weight. He's not quite as bulked up, which is important for him, and he was almost 6'3", so had good size. You still see the leadership, the confidence, the mental toughness, and the competitiveness coming out in him, and he's done it while being the focus of basically this entire city here. So he's handled the pressure very well off the field. On the field, the mechanics are just so far away from where they need to be, Trey. From taking the snaps under center, dropping and reading and coverage, the tempo's not there. His accuracy has been off from sailing balls to short hopping passes. He has really struggled being a pocket passer in a pro-style offense so far through 2 practices this week.
All right, you mentioned accuracy, tempo, the throwing motion. What are certain coaches are most concerned about?
Well, the elongated motion is 1B, if you will, but 1A is the accuracy. I mean, you have to be an accurate passer to be successful in the NFL. And right now, part of it's footwork, part of it's timing. But throughout his career, no matter how he's thrown the ball, his lack of accuracy has been surprising, and he has never been able to really become an accurate passer when in the pocket and when throwing into tight windows, and that's basically how you live in the NFL. So I think that's the biggest concern. Can he make throws from the pocket into tighter windows because of the speed of defenses in the NFL? And so far through 2 days, he's done nothing to disprove that theory.
Todd McShay, great stuff. We appreciate it. And, of course, I can guarantee that won't be the last time we see Todd McShay on NFL Live leading up to the draft, as he always does such a great job. All right, you heard that elongated delivery, Tim. Sort of the same thing that's knocked Byron Leftwich throughout his career, and one of the reasons that people weren't sold on him. All that in mind, in your opinion, how good of an NFL quarterback prospect is Tim Tebow?
Oh, I think he's a very good NFL prospect at the quarterback position. And I think you have to look at Tim Tebow and try to figure out how he fits into your football team in the National Football League. But at the same time, you look at him, he's been productive throwing the football in college. He's been productive as a runner in college. And I think that if you're going to build something around him, if you're going to play to his strengths, he can play a very vital role on plenty of football teams around the National Football League. One of the questions I would have about him, other than the elongated throwing motion that everybody's talking about and playing under center, which everyone is talking about, is his speed. When I watch him play, he's been an effective runner, but I'm not sold that he's really that fast. I don't see him running away from people, and I think that could be a bigger issue as he transitions to the NFL as a passer, but just as an all-around football player.
Yeah, because they're going to come, defenses are going to come after him. That's the one thing. But, I talked to Bill Bates, a former Dallas Cowboy that coached Tim Tebow in high school at Nice High in St. Augustine, Florida. And the one thing he said about Tebow was the guy has this mental toughness about it. He has that it factor. He's a guy that comes in early, leaves late. He's a guy that wants to win, wants to work, has the faith in his teammates. He builds his team up better and better, more and more each week. But I think the one thing about Tebow that we're missing here, he's won at every level.
Right.
State high school champ, college national champ, Heisman Trophy winner. Had another chance this year to win another championship. But he's a guy that's going to get in someone's organization. They're going to mold him to be what they want him to be as far as the quarterback position. But I think eventually he's going to be a quarterback in the NFL.
Well, so much of this process now leading up to the draft, it's scouting, is all about tangibles.
Yes.
And what you just mentioned are the things that Tebow excels at and what made him a force in college, the intangibles. And those simply can't be measured until you put somebody on the field and see what happens. Miles Austin, not drafted. Wes Welker, not drafted. Tony Romo, not drafted. All of them now Pro Bowlers in the NFL. All right, back to the NFL. Now the Raiders have a new offensive coordinator. Hugh Jackson is leaving his job as quarterback's coach in Baltimore to run the offense in Oakland, where he'll be calling the plays. Oh, by the way, now is a good time to tell you that's exactly what head coach Tom Cable did last season. Interesting. Things are always interesting in Oakland. John, on Monday, a Raiders executive said that Al Davis is still mulling the future of Tom Cable, who's with the Raider contingent at the Senior Bowl. So what is the latest, and what does this hire mean for Cable's future, if anything?
Well, this hire now gives him a 97% chance of staying because it does solve a lot of problems that Al's wanting to have. He trusts Hugh Jackson in being able to try to help Jamarcus Russell, try to take that play calling away from Tom Cable, and give Tom the chance to kind of coach the coaches and coach the team. So in a lot of ways, this takes a lot of the pressure off. Next week, I think they're going to come back and firm up that Cable stays. Still under review, but I think now he stays.
No need to rush. All right, John, thanks. When we continue here on NFL Live, the Jets hit Peyton early on Sunday until Manning made the adjustments. We'll tell you what the Saints' plans should be for Super Sunday against him. Plus, you heard John say upon further review, when we examined the curious parts of Conference Championship Sunday, there were some things that we saw that just didn't seem right to us.
Hello out there, we're on the air, it's hockey night tonight. Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps and the players bump and the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
Starward Preferred Guest presents a spectacular winter promotion offering up to 40% off at participating hotels across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East when paying with your MasterCard. Enjoy your stay at Sheraton, 4 Points by Sheraton, W, Aloft, Le Méridien, Westin, the Luxury Collection, and St. Regis. Book now and pay with your MasterCard. More details on spg.com/card-TV.
Tony and Mike. Enough said. Pardon the interruption. Weeknights on ESPN America.
Okay, so we're all set now. We had the Conference Championship Sunday, and we got the two teams that are there. But it's always fun to go back and look at these games, and there were some things that we were like, really? That just didn't seem right. So for your viewing pleasure, upon further review here, now, Tim, you're a quarterback. Is a quarterback sneak by Peyton Manning really your best call on the yard-and-a-half line?
Really? With three guys on Jeff Saturday? Really?
No.
When Peyton Manning's probably the best fade thrower in the National Football League? It was like the 1.5, too. Really? Yeah. Peyton? All those great decisions?
It was the one mistake we thought he made. Now, Darren, you're a former safety. There is no excuse for what Melvin Bullitt's about to do to Mark Sanchez.
Oh,
and
really?
didn't get called for it.
That's right. Really? You know what? You hit the quarterback. Stop complaining. You hit the quarterback at any possible time. Doesn't matter. No flag, no nothing.
And that's exactly what Rex Ryan says to his defense.
Exactly.
Now listen, Desante Shenko has a nose for the ball, but Tracy Porter, you can't. There was no flag on this. You can't do that.
Listen, not only does Tracy Porter hold his shirt, but he actually takes on the sideline after the play, and they still don't throw a flag.
Yeah, no flag. Okay, how about this situation here? Brett Favre, I don't, what do you, where,
really?
the high-low here, isn't that against the rules?
I see nothing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no.
That's the Tom Brady rule right there.
Hey, listen, it's the rule. Can't the defensive guy hit a quarterback?
Listen, not low and high. That's the rule. Okay, now the Vikings sideline, late when they had the 12 men in the huddle, there are 10 huddles.
Dude, I think there's actually 12, one for each player that entered the huddle. Yeah. Get control of your sideline, and then who's ever in charge of the personnel grouping needs to take charge of the situation and get the right people in the huddle. Never mind taking 2 timeouts in a row.
It was like spring football at a college program. There were so many people on the field. And then the whole thing with overtime, booth review took over the game. Here, to Devery Henderson, bobbles it, comes up short. It was booth review after booth review after booth review.
Yeah, they got a little old after a while, but you know what? Hey, this is questionable. You know what? Hey, this goes either way, but he did not get the first down.
Well, then there comes this one on 4th and inches. They go for it, and there's going to be a booth review. And Tim, the fumble is coming, and then he has to repossess the ball. He's behind the marker, isn't he?
Well, absolutely. Regardless if he passes it there, the ball is now out of his control. And Trey, you said he's got to repossess that thing, and where he comes down does not look to be past the first down mark.
Yet they said, well, we can't overturn it. Darren, show me the pass interference here.
Yeah, you know what? No way.
Did he sneeze on David Thomas? What?
There is no way that's bad. Especially at overtime, this close to the game, the officials don't want to get involved.
No.
Shouldn't get involved in this play right here. Not a pass.
And it's not even a catchable ball.
Exactly.
That's what happens when two bad athletes try to adjust.
Oh, well, I'll give it
I'm glad to see you guys like the defensive side.
Yeah, and then later on, we have another issue here. Did Robert Meacham really ever catch this ball?
I don't think so, but I know that Brad Childress actually made a great decision here by Brad Childress.
Booth review! What a shock! Booth review! That ball comes out.
That hits the ground.
Right? That hits the ground.
That hits the ground.
By the rules this year, that's not a catch, right?
That is definitely not a catch.
And yet, somehow it was. And it led to this. And of course, the city of New Orleans could care less about our musings and wonderments about this. When we continue, what could prevent Peyton Manning's second crown? Can Drew Brees complete the Saints' return from the brink? For these answers and so many more, log on to ESPN.com's Super Bowl Central. You know what day of the week it is?
Twitter Tuesday.
Twitter Tuesday coming. We have a plethora of questions. That's it.
Loads it up, looking end zone, has Lansmore back there. He catches it. It's a touchdown for the Saints.
And Brees ends the season with 5,069 yards through the air. The second NFL player to pass for 5,000 yards in a season.
NFL on ESPN America.
Well, the road to Miami this year paved with many, many, many wins. Saints and Colts combined for a total of 27 regular season wins on their way to Miami. There have been only 2 other Super Bowls in which the combined teams posted more wins. The most, Super Bowl 19, when the Niners beat the Dolphins. San Francisco that year 15-1, while the Dolphins were 14-2. All right. Twitter Tuesday, where you, the Twitterer, the tweeter, gets to talk to us. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do. Darren, you get the first one from MTMC Kraken. Darren, do you think the Saints even think of blitzing the Colts after Indy's success against the Jets blitz?
Yeah, you know what? I think if you're Greg Williams, defensive coordinator for the Saints, you do what you do best. You do what got you to this point. And the Saints love to blitz and love to bring pressure.
Play it out, see what happens. Tim from Zeus, the God. Who has a better chance of holding up in Super Bowl, Saints air attack or Colts D?
I think the Colts defense does. Really, that's really been an underrated group. They've played really well. Larry Coyer has had that defense really, they've given up yards, but they've responded in crunch time, and I think they'll do the same thing in the Super Bowl.
Darren, Abel Sanchez says reports have Buffalo looking at a possible trade for Michael Vick. Is he the answer?
No, I don't think Michael Vick is the answer for the Bills. You know what? He's a guy that's going to, you're talking about a guy that likes to run a little bit. You got great wide receivers on the outside, T.O., Lee Evans. I just don't think he's the guy.
Hey, everybody, it's a celebrity tweet from Hall of Fame running back Thurman Thomas. What a great guy, the Thermalator. If Drew Brees wins the Super Bowl, Tim, will he have the numbers to make it in the Hall of Fame?
I think eventually he will have the numbers. You look at the pace he's on the last 4 years, he's thrown for over 4,000 yards, and nothing looks like, it doesn't look like that's going to slow down.
Double celebrity tweet from Kerry Rhodes. Is the Jets' future bright? Are they Super Bowl contenders?
No doubt about it. You got guys like Mark Sanchez at the helm, Leon Washington coming back.
It's all good.
killer weather out here. Just that perfect temperature. It's gonna hurt just enough when you hit somebody. That little extra sting.
Green Bay and Pittsburgh played little defense in Week 15. Instead, they stung each other with lots of big plays.
Throws it long. Wallace is open, and he's got it at the 10. A 60-yard bomb on the first play from scrimmage.